according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "A rich man had a steward who was reported to him for squandering his property. He summoned him and said, 'What is this I hear about you? Prepare a full account of your stewardship, because you can no longer be my steward.' The steward said to himself, 'What shall I do, now that my master is taking the position of steward away from me? I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do, so that when I am removed from the stewardship, they may welcome me into their homes.' He called his master's debtors one by one. To the first he said, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 measures of olive oil. He said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Sit down and quickly write one for 50. Then to another the steward said, 'And you, how much do you owe?' And he said, 100 cores of wheat. The steward said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Write one for 80. And the master commended that dishonest steward for acting prudently. For the children of this world are more prudent in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. I tell you, make friends for yourself with dishonest wealth, so that when it fails, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. And the person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones. If therefore you are not trustworthy with dishonest wealth, who will you trust with true wealth? If you are not trustworthy with what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? No servant can serve two masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please have a seat. This would be a quickie. And an hallelujah from the deacon. No, I find the readings kind of strange today because they devote a lot of time to dishonesty and fraud, and you would think that as we come together for Sunday Mass that we're going to hear about how we can become better people and not emphasize dishonesty and fraud. I don't know, it just struck me kind of odd. That first reading from Amos, he's talking to a group of people and he said, just be very aware that there's a lot of, deceitful people, and just be on your guard. Amos is telling as a prophet. God doesn't like that, so just be on watch. And then in that letter from Timothy, it says, pray for people who maybe aren't on the right path. Pray for people who are maybe dishonest, or they can be, frauds, in the hopes that, they can be better. That, to realize that, in other words, not everybody is as well-intentioned as we'd like to believe. And we've, I guess, run across that. Isn't that our experience as adults? We'd like to think that everybody is honest and all, but sometimes we run across people who are less honorable or less well-intentioned than we would have liked. And we learn those are life's lessons, I guess. And then we hear in the Gospel Jesus talk about a steward who just got fired. He got the pink slip, And he was supposed to be a money collector, and he wasn't doing a very good job. So he went to the people who owed him money, and he said, you know what, I'll write you a promissory note. All you have to do is just just pay a portion. Yeah, right. When is the last time you got a bill in the mail and it said, you know what, just pay a portion of what you owe. We're going to write the rest of it off. When's the last time any of you got something like that? I haven't gotten any of those kind of bills. So I wonder, when these people wake up to the fact that they've just been deceived by this guy, who just lost his job by the master, and isn't that just like life? It's so easy to lie. It's so easy to tell a lie. Because, you can escape maybe a little bit of trouble for a while, or, so we think. It's so difficult to stop the lying. Because what happens when we lie is, well, we tell another lie to cover up the first lie, and then we tell a bigger lie to cover up the first two. It snowballs on us. And so it's really hard. Like I say, it's really easy to lie, but it's really difficult to stop the lying. And that's what made this guy, this steward, such a fraud. And yet Jesus, at the end of the story, praises the steward. And I had to read it several times and say, what is he praising? Well, he's not praising the actions. I think he's praising the energy level that this guy put into it. This guy put a lot of energy and enthusiasm into deceiving people. And Jesus is saying, gosh, if this guy would have put that same amount of energy into being good and telling the truth, just think of what a good person he would have been. Well, I think we can all take that message to heart. If we would all put the same amount of energy into doing good that maybe sometimes we do into doing things, maybe I'll just use the word poorly, when we make a mistake or whatever. Just think what great people we'd be if we just put all the energy into doing good all the time. My gosh, we'd all be shining up our halos and fluffing our wings around. We'd all be saints right now, huh? We're becoming saints. We're saints in the making, but we're in the making, aren't we? Because we haven't perfected that science yet. And I want to transition, segue a little bit. I work as an addiction counselor, so I work with people who have abused drugs and alcohol, and when they tell their life stories, they often tell how the drugs and alcohol hurt not only them, but their loved ones. Because along with the drugs and alcohol came a lot of lying and deceiving. If it was to a spouse, it was, honey, I promise I'm going to quit. That was my last drink until the next one, So people have often heard words, empty promises, but they've been deceived by the words. And so now they're hurt, and they say, I don't trust you anymore. And it doesn't just happen with a spouse. Children are told the same thing. Bosses at work are told the same thing. And these people, by the time they get to me, well, there's real losses in their lives, because sometimes the wife leaves them, the children grow up, they don't want to talk to them because they don't trust them, and they've lost their jobs because the employer says, I can't depend on you. So by the time they get to me, there's some real losses. There can be. And so in the process of recovery, one of the things, besides telling their story, is we ask them, find a God of your own understanding, because you haven't done a very good job of doing this on your own. You've promised everybody, you've promised your wife, your children, your boss, other family members, the guy next door, your dealer, you've promised everybody you're going to quit, and you haven't. So you know what? You're not doing a very good job of doing it on your own. You need some outside help. And the outside help comes from God. You need God in your life. So the program's real spiritual. And once they find this God of their own understanding, a little bit later down the line, we ask these people, you know what? In order to find true recovery, you're going to have to tell those people that you hurt. You're going to have to make amends to them. So there's, we call them 12 steps. And step 9 is to make direct amends to people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Because sometimes if you bring up an old wound, you can really make things worse with the person that you're apologizing to, you know. So, and there are situations that develop like that. So usually a person works with another to figure out who I should apologize to, you know, and that's the course of action that they take. But when that step was written, it says make amends. If you're to look up amends and define it, it doesn't really mean to say I'm sorry. It means I'm going to change. And that's the biggest difference when we ask people who are in a recovery program to do step 9. You know, is it important to tell the person that they're going to see that they're sorry? It is important, but 9 times out of 10, those people have heard those words before. They've heard, I'm sorry, I'm going to quit, and you know what? They're tired of those words. They don't want words anymore. They want action. And so step 9 is all about action. It's not, I'm just sorry. It's, I'm sorry and I'm going to change. I'm in the process of changing. Something's happening to me. Well, the thing that's happening to them is they've developed a spirituality. They've now become closer to God. And with God in their life, they're able to see right from wrong. And isn't that what these readings were all about today? Deciphering that, right from wrong. You know, placing the energy in the right place, making the right decisions versus placing the energy in the wrong place, making the wrong decisions. And so, you know, I find it very rewarding to see people come back after maybe they've done this step 9, and you know, they tell me how it went. And I tell you, it's unbelievable. People are so good to the recovering addict. You know, they say, you know, okay, you know, I've heard you say you're sorry, but if you say you're changing, then that's a different thing. So, you know, yeah, you know, I'm going to wait and see if you're going to change, but I'm going to give you, you know, I'm going to give you a little bit of a wide berth on this, a little rope anyways, huh? Because you said you're going to change, and you've never said that before. So I think, you know, whether we're addicts or not, we're all capable of lying or deceiving. And as I said earlier, the lying is easy, and the stopping part is very difficult. So when Jesus praises the steward, he praises him for his energy level. It gives us pause to think, where are we placing our energy, you and I? Are we placing our energy in lies and deception, or are we placing our energy in doing what is good to make us a better person? I leave that for you, something to think about today. You know, we've got the rest of our lives to continue to change and flap those wings and shine that halo. Maybe today is not a bad day to just start thinking about how we can become better people, how we can become a better person in God's eyes. One day we are going to have to face him eyeball to eyeball. We're going to have to make an account like this steward did for all that we've done. Wouldn't it go well for us if we're able to say, you know, yeah, I mean, this is my life and it wasn't perfect, but I learned from my mistakes and I didn't just say I was going to change, I actually changed. Those are the words we want to be able to tell Jesus face to face. Those are the words Jesus wants to hear from us. God didn't make us perfect. So he wants to know, he's going to want to know, and although he knows it already, but he's going to probably want to hear it from us. Were we able to see the path we were on and how it looped over hills and valleys and how we struggled and the challenge that was in front of us and the change that occurred? I think that'll be a beautiful chat we'll have with Jesus one day. Amen.